When you're going to turn one here at Albert Park, it's a bumpy old braking zone. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, the view we got now is probably the best view you can have all weekend, which is nobody in front of you, but it's a really crucial braking zone. You get here really fast, so it's important to hit your braking marker, because if not, you can lose a lot of time just by the sheer speed you go. But on the flip side, it's also quite hard to spot your braking marker because it's becoming so fast. The corner tightens up on itself a lot more than what it looks like on TV, so as important it is to go deep, it's also important to make sure the car's in the right position and you can get the exit. So there's a few people here doing some filming, and
just going to quickly point out that's Ann Davidson, ladies and gentlemen. He is a Formula One driver extraordinaire. He's racing the Super Aguri team, was test driver with BAR Honda, used to setting some huge laps. Sorry to interrupt you there, Brenton, but you're saying this tightens up enormously. So we look out the back of the bus here, ladies and gentlemen, you can see also the different types of curb sections. You've got the AstroTurf, you've got the actual green and yellow curb section. Normally they're red and white here in Australia. Obviously we love the green and gold. So that's a section there. It sort of tells you can use that bit, but not too much. Brenton, if you use too much, what happens? There's a bit of a catastrophe for a race car if you get all onto that AstroTurf.
Yeah, you lose all grip. It's essentially being on like normal grass. So you try to avoid it. If you put two wheels on it, it's not the end of the world. I think it's also quite easy to overcorrect and have a bigger moment than you need to. So try and stay away, but if you get on it, just try and open the wheel and go as straight as possible, not to spin yourself out.
Now we're going into this beautiful turn here. Realistically, the best part of the track to do a overtaking manoeuvre. You can see right where the bus is at the moment. You can see maybe on the back of the bus there's a huge lockup. It's not what you want to do. There is zero runoff for this corner. Down here into turn 3, turn 4 section, you really have to be super precise. The bus driver's tipped it in pretty hard already. He's going to get understeer. That's what it feels like, ladies and gentlemen. The bus just is not turning. You get that in the race car as well. So it's just about positioning yourself. You've got to get all the way back over to the right-hand side of the track. Give yourself as much room. Let's see if the bus driver's listening. He's hunted for the apex early, probably a little bit too early, because you've got to open up the throttle. He's going to have to be patient now as he gets on to the next section of the track. Now, Brenton, you've got to be super precise here because it's high speed. It's so important. Any tiny little millimetre mistake and you can be in the wall here just like that.
Yeah, it's another one of the corners that tightens up a lot more than it looks, and then on the exit there's the AstroTurf again. Minimum speed through here in the Porsche is probably 120, 130 kilometres an hour, and very quickly you climb from there. It looks like the run is straight after his, but you actually, if you look, it winds quite a lot. So it's important for car position. Try not to move the car more than you need to, but there's some big nasty walls here that if you hit the AstroTurf at the wrong angle, you'll find them very quickly.
We're going down now into turn 8, ladies and gentlemen. So as Brenton said, you sort of find a natural straight line through this next section. It's hard to brake for. Now, put it this way, a Porsche, you're more or less braking around about 120, 130 metres. Formula One car, right past to the 50 metre board. They're going almost 300 kilometres an hour down in this section. Probably not quite that fast, maybe around about 270. And they're wiping off all of that speed right where that fluoro orange is that we just went past. Down here, down about 5 or 6 gears, second or third gear. Be patient on the throttle, wait for the bumps. Say hello to the Pirelli tyre engineers checking out the track. And then you're also just feeding the power on. You're using the left-hand side of the track as much as you possibly can for that traction. But Brenton, that's where the lap time is that if you get that traction phase right, especially out of that corner, you've effectively got quite a long straight here as we go down into turn 9.
Yeah, it's a track that's very important to use the outside, the inside, the outside. And what I mean by that is the outside of the track on the entry, the inside, and then the outside again. The more road you can use and the more you can open the corner up, the faster you can go. It's just like doing a right-hand turn at a traffic lights or doing a hairpin at the traffic lights or a U-turn. The shallower a corner is, the slower you have to go. So if you can open the track up as much as possible, the faster you can go and open yourself up to a nice passing position here. In the Porsche, it's probably the best place to pass. Safety car just passes now. In Formula One, it's a lot harder because, as Sam mentioned before, the brake zones are really, really short. So to try and outbrake someone is quite tricky.
Talk us through what it actually means. So as a racing driver, how do you know when a pass is on? Because that's one of the sort of defining traits of, end center. If you no longer go for the gap, it's no longer there. You're no longer a racing driver. Pretty much the main reason why all racing drivers crash, I think, is that saying. They misjudge that seriously. But how do you actually go about knowing, like, right, I can pass this guy now? Is it a bit of a tingling sensation, is it like a spidey sense, or are you looking for something in a little bit more in a metric sense? What is it?
I think there's also a bit of both. I think the spidey sense is quite accurate. Normally it starts at the last corner. If you get off the last corner quite well and you're continually catching them, then you know that you're in a good position to try and outbrake them. The tricky thing there is you're obviously arriving at the corner faster than them, so you're faster than them, then you're trying to brake in a shorter distance than them. So there's a bit of common sense, but there's also a feeling that you know you're closing at a speed that's quite fast. But then once again, if you're coming so quickly, you want to try and hide the fact you're about to pass them, because if you tell them quite early and you move out, they'll just block you. So there's a bit of science, there's a bit of feel, there's a bit of knack. But we also get it wrong as well, and that's what happens when we hit each other and you guys have some fun watching us spin out.
Now we're coming up to these two beautiful corners, ladies and gentlemen. Hands up who's here for the whole weekend. Oh, there we go. You've got to come out here. We're taking a little bit of a shortcut. The marshals will pick us up for that in race control. But this corner here through the Formula 1 car, the Porsche's 160, Formula 1 over 250 kilometres an hour. There are another 100k. Look out the right-hand side of the bus. You can see there's all sorts of paint lines as well, so it's not just as simple as turning left and right. You've got to navigate that. You lose a little bit of grip every time you cross over those lines. Then it's all about getting the power down here. You're plucking more or less 8th gear in a Formula 1 car. We've got 8 gears in those guys versus the normal sort of 6 or 7 as we normally see now. You again hug the right hand side as much as you can, and we're going into one of the most critical parts of this whole track. This braking zone is the last opportunity you realistically have to pass on the lap. It's a DRS zone. Expect to see some dramas here, particularly Mercedes. If they're behind and don't do a good job in qualifying, they've got the DAS system now. So it's more or less 3D steering. So when you're going fast down the straight, you can push it forward and the toe on the front adjusts and you can go faster in a straight line. But it's all about the braking here, Brendan. Now, if you screw this up, you're in big trouble because there's just nowhere to go except where that bus is. And all you can do is do a flick turn. You're going to lose serious time doing that.
Yeah, this is the place where I said when you come off a corner, if you have a run, then you know that you can either get them or you can't. So if you could see, it's quite hard for you guys to see at the level you're at, but from where we were sitting, you can see some bumps on entry, and that's the bottom of a Formula 1 car hitting the ground. The faster you go, the more downforce they have, the more it pushes the car to the ground, and then they start hitting the bumps on entry. So you'll see some sparks in the first practice while the teams are working out their ride height. So it's something to look for early on in the weekend, and then as the weekend progresses, that goes less and less.
Yeah, Brendan's made a massive point there. Have a look, particularly Red Bull. They tend to run really aggressive ride heights. You'll see a lot of sparks coming out of the back of that car. Also the brake angle, so the front will look like it's really low and the rear will look like it's really high. That's super important for this corner here. That's the whole reason, is that a Formula 1 car is quite long. It's actually not very good at slow speed corners. Formula Fords were quicker through this corner than Formula 1 cars, and that's just because of the length. So now what they've done is tilt the cars up, and they've got some very clever suspension that allows them to be fast not only in high speed but also this low speed section here. But Brenton, this last corner you're turning in, you're just trying to find the grip, you're feathering with the throttle a little bit. You can see all the tyre marks that are all the rubber that's going down. You can see how much energy is going into there. We've got the bus on the right hand side. He's trying to do exactly what everyone else does, but he's going for the hunt for the line. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the 5 lights here. That's what it is going to be greeting 20 Formula 1 drivers later on this weekend on Sunday. It is going to be an absolutely epic race on an opening here. But that's pretty much it from us, so we hope you've had a lot of fun. Let's give Brenton, everybody, a huge round of applause. He's a racing extraordinaire. Now, you've got some Formula 1 cars down in the pit lane there. You've got it all to yourself, guys, once you've had your photo. So I think you've already done that, though, haven't you? Well, I think it's pit lane time. Excellent. So there's going to be, it's probably one of the best ones you can have, guys, because it's quite a quiet one. The teams are going to be a little bit, just careful with all the virus and all of those kind of things. And you'll see the Ferrari close their doors. That's just a help. That's just what they're doing. It's just eminently sensible. The rest of this business is normal. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it from us. Thank you so much. We'll see you down in the pit lane. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.